The cops tased me for being black in a white neighborhood. Then they realized I was their former chief. I was jogging through my neighborhood at dawn, taking advantage of the empty streets. I bought my house here after retiring as police chief 5 years ago. As a black man, running through the whitest part of the city, I knew I'd eventually have this conversation with some officer who joined after my time. My gray beard and weight gain since retirement made me look nothing like the man whose portrait hung in the station lobby. But I'd hoped that the police force I used to love and respect was still following my guidance, to lead with their words instead of their weapons. I was about to find out I was dead wrong. A patrol car slowed beside me as I jogged, and the officer in the passenger seat rolled down his window. "You lost?" he called out. When I kept jogging, he hit the siren briefly. "Hey, I'm talking to you. This isn't your neighborhood." I stopped and explained I lived here, but he laughed. "Right, and I'm the mayor. What are you really doing here this early? Casing houses?" My stomach tightened the way it used to before dangerous raids, that familiar dread that something was about to go very wrong. I stayed calm and pointed to my house 3 doors down, telling him I'd owned it for years. I could have told them who I was, but I needed to see what my officers had become when they thought no one was watching, even if that meant risking my own safety. But I didn't think this would go that far. The officer got out of the car, while his partner radioed something I couldn't hear. "You expect me to believe you live in this neighborhood? These houses go for $500,000. He walked around me slowly, shining his flashlight in my face even though the sun was coming up. "Let me see some ID, and keep your hands where I can see them." When I reached for my wallet, he yelled, "Slowly! Don't make any sudden movements." After looking at my ID, he claimed it was probably fake. "Richard Thompson at 425 Oak Street? Nice try." He pocketed my ID instead of returning it, then called for backup saying they had a suspicious individual. When I asked for it back, his partner got out and stood behind me. "You're being awfully demanding for someone in your position," he said. "Maybe you should shut up and let us do our job." The first officer added, "We've had break-ins around here. Black male in his 50s. You match the description perfectly." The first officer told me to put my hands on the patrol car for a search. When I asked what probable cause he had, he grabbed my wrist and twisted it behind my back. "I don't need probable cause when you're being suspicious. Spread your legs." He kicked my feet apart hard enough to make me stumble, while his partner went through my pockets, throwing my phone on the ground and stepping on it. "Oops, guess you can't call your lawyer now." When I tried to stand up straight, the first officer slammed me face first into the hood. Did I say you could move? The metal crushed my nose and I tasted copper as blood filled my mouth. This was the department I'd built. These were the officers I'd trained, and they were treating me like I was nothing. His partner laughed and said, "Looks like he's resisting. That's a felony." They cuffed me so tight my hands went numb immediately. 2 more patrol cars arrived, and 4 additional officers surrounded me. One of them recognized the situation immediately. "Another one who doesn't belong here," he said, then kneed me in the stomach. When I doubled over, gasping, they all started taking turns shoving me between them, laughing as I stumbled. "Look at him, can barely stand, probably high on something." One officer grabbed my head and slammed it into the patrol car window. The first officer pulled out his taser. "Stop resisting!" he yelled, even though I was just standing there bleeding. Every muscle in my body screamed in anticipation of the pain I knew was coming. He shot me with it, and I collapsed to the ground, convulsing. I tried to scream, "I'm Chief Thompson," but my jaw locked. My tongue wouldn't work. Only guttural sounds came out. While I was down, his partner started kicking me in the ribs, and I heard something crack. "That's for making us waste our morning." Another officer started recording on his phone, laughing about how this would be great training footage. One officer unzipped his pants and started urinating on me while I was still twitching from the taser. "This is what we think of criminals in this neighborhood," he said, while the others cheered him on. The humiliation burned worse than the taser, worse than the broken ribs. I dedicated my life to this badge, and now they were literally pissing on everything I'd stood for. When he finished, another officer grabbed my head by the hair and forced my face into the puddle. "Clean it up," he said, grinding my face into the pavement and his own urine while the others took photos. As I lay there covered in blood and urine, a department SUV pulled up. Captain Adams stepped out, one of the few officers still around from my time. The first officer called out, "Captain, we got this guy breaking into houses." Had to use force when he resisted. Adams walked over, looked down at me, and his face went completely pale. "Oh my god, Chief Thompson? Chief Thompson?" The officer who'd been urinating quickly zipped up, staring between Adams and me in horror. "Chief? That's not how. That's Chief Thompson," Adams said, barely able to speak. "He ran this department for 15 years. He hired me. His portrait is in our lobby." My ears were still ringing, but I could hear the officers start to scramble, realizing they'd just tortured and degraded the man who built their entire department. Full story on the channel below.